Is this the end of the Bitcoin era? Was 2021 the last all-time high we'll ever see for Bitcoin? The Bitcoin whales have a secret plan, and I've started to unravel it, and it doesn't look too promising for Bitcoin. I've been looking over all of the historical data for Bitcoin, and I'm going to share it with you in this video. So do me a favor, hit that like button, and let's get into today's Bitcoin video. So Bitcoin has been hugely instrumental in shaping the entire cryptocurrency industry. It effectively came out of nowhere back in 2008, and since then it's gained more and more popularity around the world. Many believe that Bitcoin will continue to gain adoption as it spreads its word throughout different nations, backed up by the narrative of failing financial institutions and the overall immorality of the finance industry. Now, the first piece of the puzzle that we're going to take a look into right now can be found over on Google Trends. This is a great way to identify who's been searching Google for what over the last few years. And as you would imagine, over time within crypto, you would expect the amount of people searching for Bitcoin to be moving in an upwards trajectory. And we can see this happening here. Now, this is back in 2013, which was pretty much one of the first bull markets where we saw Bitcoin rising to over $1,000. We then had this very quiet period, and then back in December of 2017, when Bitcoin hit $20,000 for the very first time, we saw interest absolutely booming in Bitcoin. Following this, we went into a bear market, and then you can see February of 2021, when the bull market got started again, we peaked some interest. However, back in 2017, the spike in interest was astronomical, and the amount of Google searches back in December of 2021 was literally half of what it was before. So why is this? Well, the difference between what happened in 2017 and what happened more recently was that the news coverage of Bitcoin was significantly higher in 2021. Not only that, but many other people were also gaining information. With the rise of the crypto YouTuber, people had more access to information about Bitcoin. In 2021 as well, we saw something else absolutely key happen. A lot more institutional money started to get involved in Bitcoin. And when you get institutional money getting involved in Bitcoin, well, they want to pump their bag, so they start to promote Bitcoin to people around the world using various news outlets, billboards, and other things like that. This meant that people were accessing information about Bitcoin who perhaps didn't even want to access information about it in the first place. Morgan Stanley, a huge bank in America, started to offer Bitcoin to its investors, and many famous people around the world thought that money would start to flood into Bitcoin, blowing it up enormously. Back in 2021, we then started to see the banks, such as JP Morgan, pumping Bitcoin, telling everyone that it was going to be worth around 150K, maybe even up to $300,000 in the future. This meant that everyone started to dive into Bitcoin and wanted to learn about it because they saw easy money. More for them, because literally a few days after this happened, we started to get a sell-off where these big organizations started to dump their money on all of those people who jumped into the game with zero knowledge. Before we climb even deeper into this, let's understand a little bit about Google Trends and what we're really seeing. When you look at the S&P 500 and you start to investigate who's researching various stocks and things like that, they tend to research projects that are not doing so well, because in the S&P 500 tend to be smarter money who spend a lot more time and effort learning more about projects. They know that when projects are undervalued, there is much more opportunity. Crypto, however, draws in a very green and new investors who want to make quick and easy money. And this is why the interest of crypto is significantly higher at the top of bull markets rather than in dips in particular stocks and shares in the S&P 500. This tends to indicate that Bitcoin and crypto in general comes in fleeting trends, i.e. huge spiking bull markets and brutal cold winter bear markets. When we talk about huge money in financial institutions, they're hugely driven by the underlying economics, as well as other industry factors that come into play. The majority of people who buy crypto tend to make big losses. The reason for that is the majority of people flood into the market when the markets are extremely high, and then the big money will tend to sell off to those individuals. During a bull market where we start to get lots of hype about the use cases of Bitcoin and Bitcoin being used for various types of payment, such as car washes and whatever else, it might mean that lots of companies start to implement this into their business, which is all very well until a blow off top in a bull market and all of the businesses relying on this form of payment start to collapse around it. If Bitcoin was truly destined to be worth around $1 million or more per coin in the future, like many people will tell you that it is, then it begs the question, why at the top of bull markets would whales start to sell off their positions and not just hold on to those positions until Bitcoin is able to grow significantly bigger. At the time of the big money selling off, you have the mass hysteria where every man and his dog is starting to buy into Bitcoin, forcing the price higher and higher every single day. This is something extremely problematic when it comes to Bitcoin. Another enormous problem with Bitcoin is that it's a technology back from 2008. Now, the first iPhone came out in like 2008 or 2009, and if I gave you one of those iPhones to operate now, having used the latest iPhone, you'd be saying that this is a completely inferior piece of equipment. It was insanely groundbreaking when it came out, but 14 years on, you would have to argue that the iPhone, and perhaps Bitcoin, is way out of date. Smart money and big investors want to invest in technology that is cutting edge and will continue to develop over time, because this is where the most money comes back from any investment. The problem with Bitcoin is it doesn't really have any opportunity to innovate, and over time, more and more different projects will come in that perhaps do the job of Bitcoin far better than Bitcoin ever will be able to in the future. Many Bitcoin maxis pin their idea on Bitcoin being worth more and more in the future on the fact that more and more people will arrive into the space. However, this is not necessarily true, because the people arriving into the space don't tend to have the money that the large institutions will have. It's really the large institutions that drive the bull market for Bitcoin, because without those companies, the insane flood of capital into the space just wouldn't be there at all. Therefore, you might want to argue that in the future, the bigger investors won't be looking to get into Bitcoin at all. They'll be looking to put their money into other coins, perhaps the likes of Ethereum or other cryptocurrencies that exist in the top 50. And the reason for this, while Ethereum obviously still has a number of issues, Ethereum runs in a completely different way and is forever innovating, which makes it a far more attractive prospect to an investor than Bitcoin. Many Bitcoin maxis still hold and hoard their Bitcoins, hoping that Bitcoin will continue to attract people from all around the world to invest. But at the same time, many Bitcoin maxis from the past are now starting to shift their money over to other coins such as Ethereum, where they see potential for better upside as development continues on the platform. Big buyers would know this. And what is the future of Bitcoin without big buyers coming into the market? Well, this could be potentially disastrous for Bitcoin. If Bitcoin continues to see stiffer and stiffer competition coming from others around it that are innovating all the time, well, this could mean that the big money doesn't want to get into Bitcoin anymore. We'll also start to see the smaller money pull out of Bitcoin as well, and this could potentially cascade into a disastrous scenario for Bitcoin. Now, I'm not saying that Bitcoin can't still reach $100,000 or maybe even an astronomical $200,000 in the future. It's also possible that we could see it plunge back down to $10,000 or $20,000. Now, does this mean that the rest of the crypto market would be dead? Absolutely not, but it could perhaps unravel people's confidence in investing in crypto in general. If Bitcoin continues to fluctuate, the whole narrative of Bitcoin being used as a store of value will also be a worrying one as well. Since at one point during the bear market it was down 78% on the original value, it doesn't really seem like anything other than an asset for speculation. If we look at another project from the past, this could give us an indication of what the future might hold for Bitcoin. Now, we saw Dash absolutely booming back in the 2018 bull market. It was an incredibly convenient technology at the time. However, more and more different protocols have arrived and taken away the market cap from Dash, offering more convenient and better solutions. And this has meant that Dash is effectively starting to die and will struggle to regain its strength that it saw back in 2018. Perhaps this is indicative of what's going to happen to Bitcoin over the next few years. Whether you believe this or not about Bitcoin, it's absolutely worth considering, because many Bitcoin maxis out there could potentially stand to lose everything if this is true. It also means that we have to be far more aware of what's happening in the wider cryptocurrency market to understand how we can make better decisions investing. Ultimately, the best way to overcome a scenario like this unfolding would be to diversify your portfolio. We can't tell exactly how the world is going to look in the next 1 or 2 years, and especially now with the rise of AI, the rise of technology is happening at an insane rate. So it would be very difficult to say that for sure anything is definitely going to happen, especially with speculative assets, in the next 1 to 2 years, let alone the next 10 years. If you want to understand more about how I diversify my portfolio, then in the very next video I make, I'll be talking about exactly how to pick and choose different cryptos for your diversified portfolio. If that sounds good to you guys, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button and I will see you in that video. Also guys, if you enjoyed today's video, hit the like button and I will see you very soon. with another one. Bye bye.